Greetings and welcome to another episode of Shop Talk down here at Page 3's Game Zone. I'm Nathan Varney.
And I'm Aaron.
Way to go, Aaron.
Thank you.
All right. Today we're going to talk about the all-new, and actually it's not in the title for once, a comic company avoided calling itself all-new.
The all-new, but still just Star Wars.
Yeah. Star Wars #1 from Marvel Comics. A homecoming of sorts for Star Wars. Being published by Marvel Comics for the first time in the better part of, what, 25-ish years, thereabout? Because I guess it would have been in the mid-'80s, roughly. I can't remember when the last issue was published, but it seems like it was in the mid to late 80s. I don't think it ran into the 90s. So, anyway, then Dark Horse Comics had it for the license for, well, essentially since then. I mean, they didn't acquire it, to my knowledge, they didn't acquire it right away.
No.
But, of course, with Disney purchasing Star Wars and also owning Marvel, it was certainly inevitable that the book came home, so to speak, and went back under the Marvel banner.
Yeah.
So, this book is written by Jason Aaron and primary art by John Cassidy. So, I guess we'll get right into it.
Yep. As
usual, there is going to be some spoiler material in here, so not interested in that, then take a pause and come back and check this out after you've read it. All right. I guess this book also, it goes on sale. We're, as with basically all of our comic movies, previews rather, we are filming it the day before release, so it will be on sale on Wednesday, January the 14th, 2015. All right, well, let's get right down to it. Art, we were just talking briefly before we started. In my view, solid art. Solid art. It's not dirty, and I don't mean dirty as in like, dirty, but it's not gritty. When we took a look, when we looked at, what was that, Gotham by Midnight, a month or so ago?
Yeah.
Really, like, gritty, grainy art style that I just do not care for. Now, this is not, like, Salvador LaRocca, Alex Ross, and I say Salvador LaRocca because that's just one of my favorite artists. But Alex Ross, of course, really kind of being the industry standard for pretty much anybody. So this is certainly not that, but it's also just, it's clean, but a little inconsistent.
Yeah, they kind of went with more of a kind of a realistic kind of look to it, but yeah, they got a little sloppy at some points that you could tell. They wanted to draw more details at some points, but I still feel like they could have took the time to finish details in other places.
I agree. I think as we were kind of looking at some of the panels, like the close-up, like headshots, almost appeared to have been drawn by a different person than the pan views where it was like full body shots of characters or landscapes, so to speak. So it was interesting. I mean, yeah, it was. I don't know. I didn't feel disappointed. I wasn't let down by the art, but as you had mentioned, it was not as detailed.
Yeah. And I don't care personally for the way they did the lightsaber swish.
Oh yeah. Now I was in complete agreement with you on that. Like there were some panels where both Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker had taken like a swing with their sabers, and then, but it was like 4 or 5, maybe 6, like individual like lightsabers drawn over to the actual saber, as opposed to maybe just like some kind of like red or blue like swipe, so to speak.
Instead of a solid swipe,
or even just a partial.
Even a partial swipe, they tried to make a ghost trail style.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it was very confusing to look at it, and you can actually confuse it for the blaster shots.
Yeah.
More than the lightsaber.
Yeah, so that was I don't know, not a good choice.
No.
For me, and I don't think for you either.
No, personally.
So some of the no, some of the, as I mentioned, some of the close-up facial shots, I thought that Cassidy had done an excellent job on those.
Oh yeah.
Really nice. Whether it was like a profile or even just a frontal view of pretty much all the characters. I know Luke had one. Well, at least one. I'll say at least one for Luke, for Han, for Leia, for 3PO, for Chewie. And I think even the Aggie, as Han was calling him Aggie. I can't remember.
The ambassador.
Yes.
Yep.
Even some of the stormtroopers, the close-up shots, I thought looked very nice. But then it was like the very next panel would be like maybe a full body shot or a pan, and it was just like, not too sure here what happened.
Yeah.
So just a little inconsistent. So for me, it wasn't bad. It just, like I said, it was solid. I just felt it was just solid art. So a fair enough feel to me to be Star Wars. What do you think?
Personally, I didn't care for the art. That's just a personal. It's not bad art. It's just a personal thing.
Okay.
But I didn't care for it.
Yep. It's okay. You know, it's the way it is. Like I said, I wasn't like jumping up and down for it. I just thought it was solid. So
I could see where they were going with it, but I just personally didn't care.
Okay. All right. Now for the part that, and we didn't talk about this just yet.
No.
What was the story?
I actually like where the story's going.
Yeah.
I do like that.
This was definitely a great, I will say great first issue. Some of the books that we've reviewed recently, their first issue was like, okay, well, I'm interested to see what happens in issue 2. Like, not only am I interested to see what happens in issue 2, but I mean, like this, I was like, yeah, you know. So, certainly, it wasn't very, like, you weren't left, like, wondering, like, even at the beginning when Han Solo, you know, comes to, as a negotiator on behalf of Jabba the Hutt, to an Imperial moon, and, I mean, it was, you know it was going to go down. You knew exactly what was going to go down. That it was Han with Leia and Luke, in the disguises. You know, that, no mystery. But I was actually okay with that. You know, we can kind of get down to a little bit of got into some action with, you know, Luke goes in and he saves the slaves that were captive there. You know, of course, Vader arrives on the scene. That was when they kept calling him
the ambassador.
Well, they called him the negotiator.
Negotiator.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
You knew exactly who that was going to be. And again, I was okay with that. I was okay with not being surprised by some of these things.
I'm guilty. I actually did not. I knew Vader was. They had to have Vader in here.
Yeah.
But I actually did not think about him being the negotiator.
Yeah. Well, fair enough.
You know, they showed that scene with him coming off the ship, and I was like, of course it's Vader.
Yeah. So, and then Luke and Vader, everyone else, Han, Leia, and the slaves are escaping, and Luke vanishes. And then the book ends with Luke, I guess, communicating with Ben.
Yeah.
And Ben telling him to run, which is the only word on the last page, with Luke and Vader facing off.
Yep. Staring at each other, and it just says run.
Yep. And so it's like, yeah, buddy, this is classic Star Wars, right at its best. We were talking with one of the other guys at the shop here, Tanner, that had said that he would have preferred to have seen Disney going like in the Old Republic way with their storytelling in their movies and so forth. And I think And I would have been fine with that too, but I'm certainly not disappointed to see this original stuff.
No, no, I love the Old Republic stuff, and I would love to see an Old Republic comic book going through with Marvel right now. But
Well-
I'm kind of glad to see the old characters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just can't go wrong with Darth Vader.
That's Vader
I mean, you
comes
know,
in, you know it's going down.
It just can't go wrong with Darth Vader. So, I don't know. I would hope to see Disney decide to say, okay, let's tell some stories here, not just in the comics, but maybe even cinematically, with some original stuff, or right thereafter, and then let's plan 10, 20 years out here, and be thinking, okay, let's take it through this, and then let's naturally try to grow this into Knights of the Old Republic, or even, oh my goodness, well, there's so much things that happened as far as like in the Dark Horse, like the Legacy books. I don't know what's eluding me here. Like Shadows of the Empire type stuff,
yeah.
and I mean, there's a lot of rich storytelling to be told in film with Star Wars. So I can't imagine them not having a plan at this point. Kind of saying, okay, they kind of get to go back and retell their stories again, both in comics and in film. And I mean, not that. I also like that they're not trying to reboot this isn't a reboot of the Star Wars comic. It's just, okay, this takes place. Death Star basically just blew up, and here's this story.
Here's what happened in between the films.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, Imperial Assault, the Fantasy Flight board game, also takes place in that same spot. Like, the Death Star just blew up, and there's debris raining down onto you while you're on one of the moons of, was it Yavin? Anyway, on a nearby moon, regardless of the name of the moon, and it'll come to me as soon as we cut the film off, this camera off.
Of course.
But so they're getting a consistent base of, let's start here. So, and that's exciting, and I'm perfectly okay with that, especially with this story.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, I may actually have to subscribe to this. I had said that I knew I wanted to do this review, but I had originally said I wasn't going to subscribe to this book, just to try to keep my book list as small as I can these days. But I don't know. I may have to try to find something else to cut and add this, because
I was kind of worried. Good. I was kind of worried. I heard that it was going to take place toward the films area, and I didn't know what else they could do with it. There's been plenty of stuff done, but I like it.
Yep, it's a great start. All right. Well, anything else you have to add?
No.
All right. Well, I think we're both in agreement as far as story-wise, and probably, I guess, overall, definitely worth a pick up and a read, and probably even a subscription to. So,
absolutely. And
that's Star Wars, starting with issue 1 here from Marvel Comics.
Yep. Draw better lightsabers.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps up another episode of Shop Talk down here at Page 3's Game Zone, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.